We work with Polymarket, we've worked with 11 Labs, Call of Duty, we've also done stuff for Higgsfield, we've worked with Justin Bieber, Sabrina Carpenter, we've worked on the Stephen Bartlett podcast, we did like a segment for Joe Rogan for one of his guests. There's like a massive list of names that I can kind of go down. At the moment, I actually did this calculation a couple days ago, we have over $1 trillion in company value that has deployed spend on content rewards.
Clipping has become this new phenomenon whereby influencers, entertainers, streamers, but even large companies like Netflix, Polymarket, Kalshi, etc., are getting eyeballs within the organic stream. People spend a lot of their time of the day looking at Facebook, at Instagram, at TikTok, and they're spending most of that time not looking at ads, they're looking at the organic feed. Clipping is what gets your company's videos or your influencers' videos in the organic stream. But an under-discussed topic is, what is the infrastructure that makes clipping even possible? So here we want to talk a little bit about, first of all, what clipping is, secondly, how it works, and thirdly, what is the infrastructure that makes it thrive? Can you tell me a little bit more about this? So how does clipping even start? How did you start clipping?
Yeah. So I started clipping back in 2024 for my first software company. And this was before it became like a really, really big craze. We ran faceless theme pages on Instagram, UGC creators. And the idea of clipping at its premise is running content at volume, mass scale all over the internet, because that's how you capture mind share and that's how you capture the culture. The culture now lives on the For You page. Kids in high school, college students, most of the conversations they have are predominantly built around what they've consumed on the internet that day or the day before or the week before. And so as a company, as a creator, as a musician, whoever you are trying to push whatever narrative it is that you want to get out on the internet, it has to be done through volume and extremely intentionally, which is why platforms like ours in this clipping space has blown up so much.
Cool. So if I understand correctly, what you guys do is what you guys facilitate is for me as a creator, as an advertiser, to come on your platform and find these clippers who will then take my content and produce tons of videos at scale to go all over the organic feed of my potential users. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're the marketplace of virality, essentially. And so companies, brands, streamers, creators launch campaigns on our platform with set CPMs, budgets, specific requirements that they want to push at scale. And thousands or tens of thousands of creators will join each campaign and make videos all over social media for them. And we facilitate everything from tracking to bot detection to paying out the creators automatically. And the biggest part of this industry in general is the agencies. There's close to 200 agencies on our platform that run services for clients and operate using our platform as like this basis for this industry.
Cool. So let's step into each of these details that you spoke about. Let's say I'm a large advertiser. I want to start clipping. What does that look like? What do I even need? How would I start? I would call you and you would say, this is what you need to start.
Yeah, so the idea is whenever I get on a call with a company or a brand, first I learn everything about what it is they're already doing on marketing, what is working, what isn't, what have you tried in the first place. And the idea is we develop an organic strategy around how to push them on the internet. So let's say they have a big ad they're doing with a celebrity, or they have a new feature that they're launching for their product, or they have a new song that they just dropped. We work in like a systemized, like we basically come up with like an entire strategy on, okay, this is the way we're going to push you. This is the way we're going to organize your campaign for you. And then we place this company with one of our agencies that then operates the entire thing A to Z, makes sure that the clippers stay motivated and post for their campaign.
Okay, got it. So, right. So the clippers basically take the content of the company and they reproduce it and they post it across hundreds, if not thousands of accounts. And this way they can ensure that the company gets organic distribution.
Yeah, the idea is redistribution at its core, but then there's a second prong to it, which a lot of companies might not have already made content, but they want to be pushed out everywhere. And so there's a lot of formats that we run for direct-to-consumer brands or software companies that might not have this content push already made, but want to get out there. And we come up with custom ideas. These clippers are making videos from scratch. I think there's like a talent bar, and the talent is going up and up and up. At the end of the day, these guys who are making these videos for these companies are chronically online college students or high school kids. And so they know what works, they know what performs on the internet. And so they have this like sixth sense for performing for the brands.
Cool. Okay, so what kind of content would that be? Can you give me a few examples?
Yeah, for sure. So like a really big format recently that started to do very well is these 3D animation videos. I even ran one of these YouTube channels myself. It's called Simply How. And essentially the idea is it's a 3D figure with a text and kind of voiceover behind it explaining what's happening throughout the video. So how are there 300 million people in America? Or why is your hair so unhealthy? And these are custom made videos from scratch, but we can kind of seed in brand promotions throughout this content. And we know how to get these videos made at scale because we have talented creators on our platform. We have almost 400,000 or 500,000 people at this point that make videos on Content Rewards.
That's crazy. Okay, you've got 400,000 and 500,000 people right now. I'm assuming that's not how you started. Can you give me a little bit more of a sense of the origin story? So you started for your own software company, and then at some point you decided to scale out and turn this into an infrastructure and a marketplace.
Yeah, so started this with my own software company. We then scaled my software company to almost $8 million in its first year, completely organically using this. And then I realized, like, why is there not a one-stop shop platform for any company, brand creator in the world to get this done? And so in the middle of 2025, we partnered with WAP and relaunched Content Rewards from scratch. And so we rebuilt this entire platform. We got a whole team. And at the end of December, we launched this publicly to the world. And we kind of made a splash instantly because there were a lot of network effects from like the brand that I had created and just the notoriety of this industry in general. People are fiending for a platform that just is the one-stop shop to going viral on the internet. And I think that's what we're providing for these companies. And so word spread very fast. By the first 30 days that we had launched, we already had like 50 or 60,000 creators and we were doing over $1 million a month for brands. And right now that has just skyrocketed and every single metric across the board is going crazy. We post almost a million videos a month on Content Rewards for all these companies.
That's insane. So wait, you guys launched in end of 2025 with WAP? Like what's that about? I thought you guys have been around for a while.
Yeah, so WAP originally had Content Rewards built in late 2024, and they ran it for around 6 to 8 months themselves. But I'd come into this industry starting to build my own company as well, and we ended up realizing, like, why don't we just partner together to run this same thing and kind of unite under one umbrella because we'll be stronger together. And that's when this new version of Content Rewards kind of got rebirthed. For the second half of 2025, the entire platform was completely silent. As we were rebuilding it all, every piece of tech, every person at the company was rebuilt from the ground up. And then we relaunched at the end of December, completely new aesthetic, new brand, its own personality, all that good stuff. And that's why I think it's gone so fast because it had the potential the entire time. But at this point, I think is when we're starting to hit like close to terminal velocity because we're bringing this industry to life again. And when it kind of died down in 2025.
Can you give me some numbers? Like how much are you generating? You mentioned 1 million videos posted a month. Give me some sense of numbers behind the Content Rewards.
Yeah, so we pay out over $40,000 a day to clippers, and these are just these high school and college students. In January, we started off at like around a couple $100,000 a month in spend for these brands, and now that's scaled to multiple 7 figures a month for brands. I think we're on track to be doing over $10 million a month in brand spend within the next few months, which is really, really cool. And on the flip side, now we've created a really cool income opportunity for all these people who are like disenfranchised and don't want to sign contracts with big companies, but know how to make good videos. Now you're just a regular person with talent, or you want to get into the organic space because you're consumed by social media, you can now earn money doing it. So across the board, I'd say in the 7 figures a month in brand spend, we're paying over $40,000 a day to clippers, close to 1 million videos a month posted on the internet. And I think in April, we'll do around 30 to 40 billion views for our companies.
That's an insane number. Who are some of your biggest customers that you're comfortable sharing right now? Some of the best known names or household names that are using you?
Yeah, so we work with Polymarket. We've worked with 11 Labs, Call of Duty. We've also done stuff for Higgsfield. We've worked with Justin Bieber, Sabrina Carpenter. Let me try to think of a few more here. Maybe if I can find some here.
Go for it.
Let me check real quick. We've worked on the Stephen Bartlett podcast. We did like a segment for Joe Rogan for one of his guests. And so there's like a massive list of names that I can kind of go down. At the moment, I actually did this calculation a couple days ago. We have over $1 trillion in company value that has deployed spend on Content Rewards, which is pretty insane to think about. And so that's kind of like a stat that I think we can 10, 20x over the next fucking year or 2 years because we have an infinite TAM market. everybody needs to market themselves. And there's no solution to do that simply. There is paid advertising solutions, but those have become more and more expensive over time with increasing CPMs. The thing with content rewards is that you're paying 1/100th of the average CPM you pay on paid, but you get to hit the organic For You page at scale. And so the average CPM on our platform is around $1, which if you compare that to the average paid CPM of like $40 to $80, it's a no-brainer for companies to try this. And when they see that it works, they double down.
So if I put my marketing analytics hat on, and in my previous job, I was responsible for marketing analytics. We were working for a big company, spending $10 million plus a month. My main concern was not as much CPM, although CPM is something I cared about, but what my actual cost per acquisition was, what my actual cost to acquire a new user was. What sort of category would you place content rewards and clipping into? Do you think this is the sort of high converting direct response advertising, or is this more of a Coca-Cola style branding exercise to make sure people recognize your name?
At its core, it's a mindshare branding exercise, but a lot of companies we work with work very heavily on attribution with us. And so across thousands of videos that get posted for a certain company's campaign, we can require every single creator to have a link in the bio, a specific CTA in the caption, even a promo code that the consumer can go and put into their website. And so we're taking a much deeper kind of like lift across the company into attributing success better for companies. Because if you're spending at scale with us, one thing you want to know is, one, we're getting a ton of impressions for our company, and a lot more people are having conversations about what it is we do. But secondly, like you mentioned, the big spenders in the world who are going to deploy tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars a month want to see that return at the end of that spend. And so a lot of the tech that we're working on behind the scenes that we'll be releasing really soon too kind of directly correlates to that kind of initiative, which is you spend $1 million with us, I want to show you that we made you $2 million over time. And with clipping and redistribution and UGC in general, which is all the services that we provide, I think there's a very good argument to make that we do attribute very well for companies. Because let's say today I'm going and I'm interested in playing in a prediction market, right? And I see 4 or 5 Polymarket videos a day on my For You page. Whether I convert to Polymarket today, tomorrow, or next week, the first time I want to try out a prediction market, if Polymarket are the ones that are all over my For You page, they're going to be the ones I try out first because they're at the top of my mind share. And so that's how I think about attribution too. I think there's a lot of indirect attribution that brands have to factor in when spending on our platform. And we've seen a lot of success with that. We work with a lot of companies that don't have direct attribution yet on content rewards, but they see this halo effect of numbers going up across the board as they get more views on our platform. And I think that's like what we've achieved now at like the top of the line. But as the months go on, our tech is going to get better. The focus that we put on attribution is going to get better. And I see no reason why a company wouldn't spend $20 million a month with us, because we're a really good, sophisticated marketing vehicle for them.
So if I were to guess, you guys are generating between $1 and $2 million worth of GMV a month of brand spend, which is a significant amount, but you know it's not a huge chunk of the ad budget of someone like Polymarket, of someone like 11 Lads, etc. These people must be spending millions and millions of dollars. Do you think they're still kind of putting it into their experimental bucket, or are they putting it in their like top of funnel bucket? Like, how do these companies internally think about this, and where does it fit in their funnel?
Yeah, this is 100% still an experimental bucket for most companies. There are some that really put a lot of their spend into us because their industries really align with what we do, but it's because the industry is early. We are not a sophisticated, mature industry of organic redistribution at scale. This is something that's going to take time, and that's why we put so much focus into the media that we even produce on the internet. And so a couple days ago, we released a video that compared $5,000 on a real-life billboard versus $5,000 on a digital billboard or a watermark campaign using content rewards. And the results were insane. The real billboard got us 24,000 impressions with 62 scans to our QR code. And for the same $5,000 content rewards, we got 64 million impressions and 11,000 clicks to our link. And so I think we're starting to show more through our own media, and kind of the way I think about our company is I want to walk the walk instead of talk the talk. And so I want to prove that we use our own platform to perform for ourselves as a company. And I think that's going to allow this industry to mature extremely fast, because all it takes is one person to make a great case study for all of the others to follow.
Yeah, maybe you guys should clip this episode.
Yeah.
I think I play the devil's advocate. Like your competition is not the billboard on the street. Like your competition is actually the amazingly sophisticated Meta ad targeting engine, the Google search targeting engine. That's where those digital dollars are going for. And the organic feed, you guys have less information about whether I have money, whether I'm going to buy. You don't really have conversion tracking as much. How do you compete?
Well, the actual thing is, I think we're a supplementary partner to Meta and Google. I actually don't think we're competing with them. And the reason I say this is because if you go and spend $1 million on content rewards, you're going to get a ton of viral pieces of content that you can now use to run as paid ads on those platforms. And what we know from paid ads is that organic winners work well on paid. And so now a lot of the companies that we work with, they run extremely cheaply on content rewards. They scale their spend hard, and now their paid initiative becomes more efficient because they're creating a ton of winning ad creatives that they can now use at those platforms. And so to Meta and Google, I actually love those companies. I think they provide a very valuable service. We're just hitting a wedge of the internet that then supplements that other side of spend to those like big titans that are already mature in the industry. I think this is something new entirely. And so we don't even know how this is going to pan out in 4 to 5 years. But from what I've visually seen at like a bird's eye view from running this company is that I think we make this a more efficient market, whether it's in the paid sector or the organic sector.
Cool. Has anyone from Meta or Google ever gotten in touch with you guys and been like, hey guys, like you guys are pumping out 1 million videos a month, like what's going on?
No, we actually haven't, but this is a cool thing. It's like, I think as we start scaling more, I want to get into more conversations with people at those companies because I think there's just an insane amount of things that we can do with them because you just have to have a deep understanding of organic content and not just isolated to one platform, to TikTok, to YouTube, to Instagram, to Snapchat, to Pinterest, to Reddit. There's like a billion different prongs and ways that you can market yourself online. And as we start hitting all of those platforms, I think these guys are going to start to know, wow, Content Rewards is putting out a lot of volume on our platform. Like, let's start getting in contact and having conversations.
Okay, I maybe I should put you in touch with the people I know at Google because
That
I
would
think
be dope.
they'd love to have this conversation. Cool. So one of the things you mentioned is like certain industries it's a very, very good fit. What are these industries?
Okay, so music is a great industry to use this for. Music lives on the For You page, and specifically TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. You hear a song over and over again, you start to become obsessed with it, and you add it to your Spotify playlist. And so we work with a ton of musicians, tons of record labels. It's so asymmetrical with what we do, and it works perfectly. I don't know if asymmetrical is the right word. I hope it is. On top of music, I think like sports marketing, sports betting is a really, really big industry. I think like everyone's addicted to sports. Everyone's addicted to just having this adrenaline. And your demographic is not confined to one user, age, gender, size, weight, height. Everybody loves to gamble on things because it's just an innate part of human psychology. And so it works really well with pushing out organically. And we work with a ton of those types of companies. And more what we're seeing is B2B companies like softwares, such as like when we did activations for 11 Labs and Higgsfield, they're starting to understand more and more that every company needs to turn into a media company. You need to hit the culture. You need to be relevant at all times. And so I really think Content Rewards doesn't isolate itself to any niche or industry. I think there are ones that are like low-hanging fruit, just as the ones I mentioned, but everyone should be running spend with us.
Right. One of the things, in terms of how you work, right? Like the content gets posted independently, and then it only gets paid if it hits certain certain viewership criteria. Now, there's two things that are a potential issue for an advertiser. I'm going to put on my old marketing analytics hat. One of them is if I work for a regulated product, I work with someone that has a license to do certain things. Well, particularly in the financial and the medical space, there's a huge consequence to not saying or saying certain things. Like if I tell people, hey, come onto my crypto exchange, and if you come, you're guaranteed to make money and make profitable trades, then I'm going to get, as an advertiser, in significant trouble. How do you guys navigate this? How do you navigate these regulated industries where you can't just have anyone posting whatever? Or maybe you can. Maybe there's a way to deal with this.
Yeah, well, there's a couple ways that we deal with this. First would be that The way our infrastructure is built foundationally is to disincentivize people from wanting to go out and post any type of content to get views. And so let's think of like the biggest clipping example in the world, like Andrew Tate in 2021 or 2022. What happened with him is he got so many views so fast, but his clippers were incentivized to get him views, not to make him look good, because they were going through an affiliate link where the more sales they got, the better their kind of like system was working. With content rewards, you are incentivized to follow the requirements of the campaign, because if you do not, your video will get rejected. And if your video gets rejected, no matter how many views you get, you'll never get paid. And so it's no one's incentives to just get views and not follow the requirements. Your only incentive is to follow the requirements so that you can get views and get paid. So that's prong one. Prong two is there's always going to be leakage, right? So there's going to be videos that get posted first, and then you figure out that it's bad, and then you reject it. And so now that video is out there on the internet. But one of the cool features that we have on Content Rewards is that when is this coming out? Because it depended on when this is coming out. But we have a cool feature that's coming out in the next couple of days where when you post a video to Content Rewards, it gets posted privately to the campaign first. Once it gets approved or rejected, then it goes out on social media. And so it hedges against content going out on the internet that necessarily goes against your narrative that you're trying to push as a regulated company.
That is a pretty cool feature, and I think it's something that was very strongly missing from the service before. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying 100%. I think like that's one of the biggest things that I've been talking to with companies recently is like, how do we keep your optics and narrative safe at scale? And like a lot of the focus of our company recently has been on features and tech that kind of allows for that.
One of the other things that comes to mind for me is just the potential for ad fraud, right? So ad fraud is something that happens everywhere. Let's be honest, it happens on Meta, it happens on Google as well. But the kind of lower down the funnel you go, the more you get ad fraud. And basically, when you look into the Content Rewards platform, it gives you like bot scores, but then agencies look at individual stats, and then it's just like it's a little bit tricky because like you have to review it on a per video basis, and there's no objective truth. How do you guys think about this? How do you navigate this whole botting problem?
Yeah,
First,
well,
maybe explain what the botting problem is and why people are doing it.
So the big botting problem is artificially inflating views to get paid for impressions that you never got. And so you can't get 100,000 real views on your video. You just use a service that gets you 100,000 fake views, and it's hard to tell the difference unless you go really granular and understand every part of the process. So there's a lot of stuff that we do for security reasons. I'm not going to reveal how and why we do everything, because then that just hedges against the people who want to use our platform for malpractice. But we have like a 4, 5, even 6-step system that kind of looks at every part of a video and tries to prevent its botting, and we give a score as a result. But even that can be inaccurate, because unless you know every single point of the video as if you're someone who's on the dashboard yourself, it's hard to understand if the video is real or not. So a lot of the measures that we're taking are to essentially clone a real user's experience on Content Rewards to understand like the video's, I guess you could say, cleanliness from A to Z. But we even have a guarantee on the platform, and I think this is the biggest part. I know botting's an issue, it's an issue that like we are actively going extremely hard to solve. And I know you were saying that our platform can get tricky at times when understanding 50 different metrics on how to tell if a video is botted. That's something we're condensing down into one data point really soon with our V3 update, which I'm very excited about. But as a general note, we have a guarantee on our platform that tells you that if a video is botted and slips through all of our systems, one of the last stages of our system, by the way, is allowing every brand owner or campaign owner a 3-day period to claw back money into their campaign. If it even slips through that and you don't get to it and the video gets paid out whilst being botted, we guarantee that whatever the amount that you lost to that botter is, we match and put back into your campaign. And that is essentially to just tell you that we're confident in our systems, but if our systems fuck up, we will still get you right and make sure that you don't use any money or lose any money to fake impressions.
Right, but if as an advertiser, how do I know if the video is botted or it just didn't convert?
Well, a video is going to be botted if our bot score tells you it's botted. And so we have a detection score that goes from 0 to 100. The higher the score is, the more likely we believe the video to be botted on a bunch of different metrics that we track: views, likes, comments, shares, accounts, demographic, previous video performance, just a ton of different factors that we take. And the cool thing about Content Rewards is we have a lot of data, right? We have close to 1 million videos going out a month. We see everything about every single video, and we store that internally into our own little brainchild that learns off itself. itself. And so if a video is not botted, but we say it is botted, we now know that we made a mistake and we fix it for next time. Or if a video is botted, but we say it isn't, we know we made a mistake and we fix it for next time. So it consistently improves upon itself as every video gets submitted through our platform. And then we visualize that to whoever's running the campaign in a little score that you can now see to approve or reject that piece of content.
So right now, I think your main selling point and your biggest strength is the clipping, right? Is the distribution and redistribution of content on short form video platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Where do you want to focus on that field first? Do you want to move into the UGC side of things a little bit more? Because I know you also offer UGC services whereby you actually incentivize creators to create videos with known brands and known pages. Are you guys thinking about moving towards other types of organic behavior, like for instance, I don't know, Reddit or X, or how are you thinking about the future?
Yeah, I think clipping is one part of a massive puzzle that we are solving. And so we even actually do provide X services right now for a lot of our clients. But in general, as a total, we are going hard into UGC. We're scaling our UGC campaigns by a lot compared to the last 30 days. We're growing, I think, 2 to 5x week over week in terms of how many UGC campaigns are launching on our platform. But it doesn't stop at short form. There is a lot of stuff that we are going to get into, such as other platforms, other media verticals. At the end of the day, I want content rewards to be known as the place to market organically. No matter where you want to market, how you want to market, if it's long form, short form, with a big influencer, with a college kid who knows how to make viral videos, it doesn't matter what it is. If you want to be an organic marketer, if you want to spend on organic marketing, you will do it through our platform in the next 12 months.
I think one of the criticisms I see on X, on Twitter, of content rewards is there are people that are familiar with the advertising world, with performance marketing, and they go and they set up their campaign and they're just underwhelmed with the results. They say, hey, I got a bunch of like low quality videos, they didn't, or the videos got views but they didn't convert, I got so much spam that, didn't really work out for me. What do you think the main reasons are for campaigns not working out for people?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One is budget. A lot of people will launch a $500 campaign on our platform and they'll get confused as to why it didn't get a ton of views and a ton of high quality talent that kind of deviated towards it. And the reason is because the talent follows where the value and the money is. If you are a brand that's consistently scaling and spending with us, the best talent on our platform now know that you're a consistent income stream for them. They've learned how to make your videos. They trust that you are going to treat them well in terms of approving or rejecting their videos extremely fast. And that's also something that we fixed across our platform. And so to everyone that launches a campaign on our platform now, we have an entire 4-person dedicated team. No matter who you are, how much you're spending, it can be anywhere from $500 to $1 million. I think a big focus recently has been quality. We want to ensure that you get the biggest and best amount of quality no matter what amount you're spending, because you could be a small company with not that big of a budget and you start off with 500, but you could scale to 10,000 if it works well, right? And I don't want to alienate anybody who can't afford to spend on our platform just as the big dogs are, because that's the whole idea of organic marketing. It works, you double down, you spend more, and then you scale. And so we've now taken like a big focus into transferring creators to all types of campaigns. And a big part of it too is when you launch a campaign as a newly made brand that has never launched on content rewards before, it can get buried on our Discover page compared to all the big campaigns that are already out there. And so we're introducing a really cool For You page algorithm that connects clippers and UGC creators to campaigns that specifically meet the niches that they make videos in. And so if you're a new company that's never talked to a creator before, but you make videos or you're a brand in the health space, we will now recommend you to all of our health space creators so that you know that you're going to get talent that actually knows how to make videos for you. And so this is a long process, and it's something that we've been working on specifically harder in the last like 30 to 45 days, but we're seeing a really big shift in terms of like client retention now, the amount people are coming back, the amount of money we're paying out clippers, because at the end of the day, the amount we pay clippers and UGC creators every day is correlated to how much they fulfill from budgets, right? And so if we're fulfilling more budgets for more companies, clippers and UGC creators are earning more. And so I think we're doing a pretty good job at matching new campaigns and newly made kind of like video formats to creators that can make videos for these guys. And over time, I'm pretty confident that every single campaign that ever gets launched on our platform will have great results, simply because there's so much stuff we're working on the back end to ensure that success.
I also want to talk a little bit about two more things. One of them is the sort of geographic distribution of the clippers as well. I know that clipping is exciting in the US to people who are, as you mentioned, high school kids, college kids, but I think in the rest of the world, there's many countries in which this is basically like a way to make a full-time salary. What's your take on this? Have you seen people in places like India, etc., basically doing this as a full-time job?
100%. Some of our best clippers are Serbian, Filipino, Indian. They pay the rent for their families. They dropped out of high school, college to continue this. And it's because no matter where you are, as long as you consume content online, you're a fit for this position. Like, you can become a creator for these companies. And it's a really cool sell to these guys because from knowing nothing about the internet, you can now work with a big billion-dollar company like Polymarket at a snap of a finger if you know how to make a good video. And I think that's a really cool feeling for people. So obviously, this is a big thing in the States. It's very popular and famous, and people talk about it on interviews, and you see it all over the For You page and Twitter. But more and more and increasingly, we're seeing the best talent pool come from these like third world countries or really weird little towns in Europe that no one's ever heard of, because it's just at the end of the day, people who are addicted to the internet and love consuming content, they're now the perfect candidate to create content for these companies.
Cool. Do you think there's an opportunity I mean, I showed content rewards to this very successful founder who spends millions of dollars a month, and he said, yeah, this is super interesting, but I'd love to be able to play around with the incentive system, with how the payouts work, to play around with the API. His idea was, what if I can set up a content rewards campaign where only like the top 3 clippers get rewarded, or where the entire budget just basically goes on like a video or two? Are you guys planning on opening up an API?
Well, that's all available right now. So not necessarily an API, but everything you just mentioned can be done right now at a click of a finger. You can get people to specifically only work on one thing. But in this new version that we're launching in a couple days from now, all of the little granular things that your founder friend would have wanted to do will be available. And so selecting top clippers privately for a campaign that's not available for anyone else will be allowed. Inviting people, and let's say your campaign's a $1 CPM, right? You'll be allowed to put like 5 or 10 of your best creators on a $1.50 CPM for that campaign specifically. And so as much customization as you physically want, we will allow. We'll even let you pay per post. We'll let you put your best guys on monthly retainers. We'll let you give people bonuses. And we're launching our own incentive program for creators so that you don't have to incentivize them anymore. We'll be shipping out iPhones, laptops, UFC tickets, cruises to clippers who earn certain revenue milestones on our platform across every campaign that exists. And so as a founder now, or a marketing director at a company, you now have this extra leverage point that you can use to get creators in, because we'll do the incentivization for you without you having to drop any extra money.
Cool. Daniel, thank you so much for your time. This is super interesting insight into fast-growing, fascinating industry.
Yes, sir. Great meeting you.
All right, let's